Hey guys, today we are continuing our series on intuition and how to develop it. Now we're going to talk about reading tarot cards and oracle cards and angel cards and all that stuff. Let's roll it.
This is your life, no one else has gotta live it. This is your fight that only you can win.
Hello everyone and welcome to Freedom Friday, where you learn how to free yourself and live your dreams. I'm Darienne, your certified spiritual rock star. And if you're new here, welcome. And you want to get these videos every single week, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell for notifications. I also have a mailing list if you would like to sign up for Empire updates and figure out any other things that I have going on other than on YouTube, of course. You can click right here and sign up. Also, of course, I am always doing one-on-one coaching, so if you are really ready to buckle down and make ish happen, make sure you book a consultation today with me and we can chat about whether I can help you to reach your goals and manifest your dreams. I'd be really honored to do so. So you can click right here or down in the description. And now let's get on with the video. So last week we talked about developing intuition, and I think that that's a really important one to watch before you watch this, or at least after or around the same time. So make sure, if you haven't already, go check out that video because it really helps you to just sort of develop intuition without having to have these tools or anything like that. But using tools like the tarot or angel cards or oracle cards is a really fun way to continue to develop your intuition and really build those intuitive muscles. So just like I gave you guys a quick little tip for developing your intuition last week, using tarot cards or any sort of oracle cards like I'm going to show you today is really a way to sort of practice. It's like taking your intuition to the gym. And so tarot cards are a really fun way. I'm just going to say tarot cards because just know that I mean tarot, angel, oracle, any sort of cards like that. But using tarot cards, it's just a really fun way. It's a fun tool to use. But I first want to say this is to develop your intuition. So understand that the tarot is a really beautiful way to bring messages, to bring clear messages. It's a really easy way it's sort of like the middleman between you and spirit. But the whole point that I really want you to get down to the bottom of and really understand that this is your goal here, it's to have that connection, right? So nothing can replace your connection with your own internal spirit. Just know that. If you are not feeling really good, feeling really connected, your messages, that whatever comes into the cards, it's going to feel really foggy and confusing, and it's not going to be as good as it would be had you already connected with your internal spirit. Doing so, you know, you could do something like meditation, just really getting connected and just practicing things like this. So just understand, you know, I've heard a lot of psychics say, I'm not really a psychic, or I've heard a lot of tarot readers say, I'm not really a psychic, I just read the cards. And I'm like, no, that shouldn't be your goal. Your goal shouldn't be just to read the cards. And I will go into why in just a few minutes, but so many of you have asked me what cards I would suggest you use. I've also heard questions about the law of attraction and how that pertains to reading tarot cards. So I kind of want to take this opportunity to put all of that into this one video. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you some of my favorite cards. Now, I'm not going to teach you how to read tarot cards in this video. This is probably like a prerequisite to any videos that you might find on actually how to read the tarot cards. There are courses I've seen online. I never myself have taken any courses. I'm going to really just go through how I've learned how to read the tarot and read different cards, and how I would suggest anyone beginning reading cards do it. But definitely I want your goal to be to build your intuition, and not for your goal to be getting better at reading cards, you know, because that can really, like, this is about you connecting with your own internal being to the point where messages will come through to you naturally. You don't really need the cards. So I've said this before as well, when I do tarot readings with people, a lot of times it's, you know, sometimes it's just fun. Sometimes I'm like, whatever comes to the cards. But a lot of times I've already done a reading on them myself with my own intuition. And I already know what I want to say to them and what needs to be said. But the cards act as a really good buffer, rather than someone having another human being telling them, oh, you need to do this. When you read the cards, it's kind of like people hear that more as messages from spirit, even though you know that the messages are coming through you from spirit. You know, people don't really tend to trust that. And so, which is totally normal. You know, people don't trust somebody that says, oh, I'm psychic, you know. But so the cards can be a really good tool to not only for you to receive messages, but also for you to give messages to other people. So I've definitely used that. So let's talk about some of the first cards I started reading, and I would really recommend, if you're just getting into reading cards, if you've never read cards before, I think some of the easiest cards to read are some of like the Doreen Virtue cards. And let me show you. So Doreen Virtue has now gone on to the Jesus bandwagon. And so she no longer creates tarot cards. She no longer reads tarot cards. She is totally all about Christianity now. I send her all the love in the world, but her cards are still available online and they are still really awesome. If you guys have any suggestions that are similar cards to the Doreen Virtue cards, maybe by other people, that are just easy like this, definitely put those down in the description, or not in the description, in the comments below. But this particular deck is Healing with the Angels. So Doreen does she used to do a lot of angel cards, fairy cards, all sorts of things like that. So these cards, they're gigantic, which I'm not a huge fan of, but that's okay. I like to be able to shuffle some cards, but they come with a book. Most cards come with a book. Until we get into some of the more difficult ones to read. And so when you pull a card from here, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? This says listening. And it's like, okay, what do I need today? Oh, miracles, you know? And then when you read the book, like it's just really self-explanatory. It's like, okay, angels, you tap into the angels, you say, what is my guidance I need today? Celebration, okay, maybe you need to celebrate yourself today. You know, it's like really simple. It's not, you don't have to really have intuition to be able to read these cards. And it's just a way to, especially the angel cards, it's a way to start connecting with the angels. I started like talking to the angels essentially before I ever started reading anything like this. I just started feeling beings around me. I started feeling little cheerleaders. I just started feeling the essence of like cheerleaders around me. And I was like, okay. And so I just called them angels, and I just I can sense them just bubbly and giggling and all around me all the time, and just here for me. Like they're my best friends, but they're spirits. So, but anyway, I know we could totally go off the deep end with this conversation, but you know, these are just a really, really easy one for people that are just starting off, and not just these particular, the Healing with the Angel cards. This is one of her much older decks, I believe. Really all of Doreen Virtue's cards. So it says something as easy like if you pull the forgiveness card, it just tells you, let go of anger and fear and resentment. Let go of anger and resentment. I don't know where fear came from. And feel yourself healed. You don't need to forgive the action, just the person, so that you can be at peace. And then it goes deep into what that specific card means. So again, like I said, there's not really much intuition that needs to be happening with these cards. Now, a lot of people love the Doreen Virtue cards because there is this perception that the traditional tarot, and I will show you that deck in just a moment, that the traditional tarot deck has darker energies. Now, I used to read tarot. I used to play around with reading the tarot when I was a teenager, and I had somebody tell me that I was bringing in dark energies. And I had all these dark energies around me. I could tell you that I had dark energies around me because I lived in a targeted drug house where there were parties and everybody was on drugs most of the time. That's probably why I had some dark energy around me. Not really spirits or anything like that, but it really is. Again, go watch the video before this about how to develop intuition. And it really talks about, you know, how you read, how good you are at reading, how specific your readings come through, how on point they are, and how ascended your readings are depends on your vibrations. So if you have a low vibrational energy, if you believe in low vibrational bullshit, which I don't believe in that when it comes to the spirit world, I don't fucking believe in it. And so, you know, I've proven to myself time and time again over many, many years that that shit's just bullshit, that the only thing that's true and real is love. And so people can tend to have a fear of that. If you have a fear, of course, it's totally okay. It's totally normal to have that. Don't go into reading the tarot cards if you have this fear of love. And of course, put a big bubble of white light around you and say the only messages that come through are coming from loving beings. Set that intention before you do any of your readings. When you first start doing readings, you should be really intentional. Once you've done it for such a long time, it's such a second nature to know how to just get into that space. But a lot of people choose to read Doreen's cards because she doesn't have any of the dark. So this isn't a tarot. These are oracle cards. They're not tarot cards. She does do tarot cards, but she doesn't have any of the darker cards. I like the quote darker cards, and I will tell you why. Because here's the traditional universal weight tarot deck. You've probably seen these before. We've got the Fool card. I kind of separated these a little bit so that all the major arcanas are up front. So you've probably seen these before. The reason I like the darker cards, here's the Devil card right here, quote darker cards, the Tower card. The reason I like these cards is because the contrast for me tends to give you more of a detailed reading. You need contrast. Life is full of contrast. But when I read something like the Tower card, okay, because I have a higher understanding, I have a more ascended, and it all depends on my state of being, of course, when I'm reading the cards. You don't just ascend and stay ascended. Let's just put that out there. You don't just ascend and stay ascended. You can go back to lower energies once you ascend. It's possible, and it happens to all of us. So if I'm reading in my usual state of being in a higher understanding that when the shit hits the fan and the tower collapses, which is what this card is, people are falling out of it, it's crazy, the fucking thing's on fire, it looks insane. But when you have a higher understanding, you know that the only thing that can crumble like this is something that was built upon ego. So this tower, I would intuitively read this as, this tower has been built on ego. It's been built on illusion. And the only thing that was built that is able to ever crumble like this is the shit that is built on illusion. And so it's time to allow all of that to fucking fall apart, because none of it was true to begin with. And so that's how I would read that. But a lot of people can feel really, I mean, it literally has people falling out of a flaming building. So everybody could read that differently. So it really depends on you, your state of mind when you're reading, and all of that. So I'm going to go back to the tarot in just a minute, but I want to talk about some of the other cards that I really love, just some of my favorite decks to read, and they are a lot easier to read than the traditional tarot universal weight tarot deck, because The universal weight, let me just show you. It comes with this, it comes with a book. It makes no fucking sense, and it comes with this little tiny book that also makes no fucking sense. And some of the, it's not that it doesn't make any sense, but it just gives you a few words that each of the cards could mean. And sometimes they're contradicting, and then of course it has a different meaning when it's reversed. There is not much very clear guidance on what each of the specific card means. It's not like when you read one of Darienne's decks and it is straightforward and tells you this is exactly what this means. Now, the reason I love that so much and the reason I believe that probably is because you're reading from your intuition. You're not just reading the cards, okay? Every single card in the traditional universal weight tarot deck has a different meaning to different people. And it has a different meaning depending on what other cards are surrounding in a spread. It depends on the situation. This is why you need to have a clear channel of intuition. You need to be building those intuitive muscles before you can really give a good reading in the tarot deck, because it's so open for interpretation. That's just my take on it. If you have your own take on it, I would love to hear it in the comments below. But let's get into some of my favorite decks that I have been reading for the last year or so, just to kind of broaden your horizon. So if you are wanting to get into the tarot and the traditional universal weight tarot deck is way too intimidating to you, I would definitely go for another tarot deck, and I'm going to show you two here that come with a book, come with much more explanation, and can be a little bit easier to read. My first, probably most favorite tarot deck, and this is actually tarot and oracle deck, this is two, is the Cosmos deck by Light Gray Art Lab. So let me just show you this. It is, I think it totals like 100 cards because it's two different decks, as you can see. If you ever followed me on my Facebook Lives that I used to do when I would read A Course in Miracles, I usually would read these, I would do a reading of these every day, every morning. So if you look at these cards, this is the Justice card, which is a major arcana card. Just take a look at it if you can see, I'm not sure, but each and every, I totally put these in backwards, each and every card was done by a different artist. And they're all connected to constellations, astrological signs, all of that. So what I love about these cards is that every single card was done by a different artist, which means it was intuitively channeled differently, which means it holds a completely different vibration than the next card. There is no card that holds a similar vibration because it's been done by all different artists. So what makes this really cool, and my assumption is that the card book here was probably written by one person or one group of people, and then the artist was left to interpret the meaning. That would be my assumption. I'm not sure really how they created it, but that would be my assumption, which would mean that there's just, what I love about that is I'm an artist myself, I'm a musician, and so I understand interpreting different vibrations. I'm dropping cards. I understand interpreting different vibrations in different ways, and that each artist has their own flavor, and there's just so much intuition in these cards, and I love that, and it really leaves, like, if you didn't know what any of these cards meant, and you just looked at the art, and they have a little bit of guidance down on these cards, and you just took the knowledge that you already had about life in and of itself, and you looked at this card, each card, and you had your own interpretation about it. I mean, you could just you could do an awesome reading just doing that, just totally using your intuition, looking at each and every one of these pieces of artwork. And I just think it's awesome, you know? But it also does come with a book. So if you don't know, and you're like not really close with your intuition, or you're just kind of feeling like, there's something coming through to me. This happens a lot. There's something coming through to me that I'm not quite understanding. Like there's two puzzle pieces here and here. And maybe once I read the book, it will bring those two together. Most of the time I will do a reading, get something intuitively, and then I read the book and it's just totally correlates, even though I maybe, you know, I don't remember what all these cards mean. I've been reading these cards for a year. I don't remember what each of the cards mean. And like I said, they mean something different every time you read them. Sometimes it's like, okay, well, this card always means the same thing for me, but I'm kind of feeling like a different variation because it's next to this card, you know, rather than if it were next to this card, it would mean something different, you know? So that's the thing where it gets a little bit more complicated, because when you're trying to do tarot readings using just your left brain hemisphere, it's going to be difficult. Like you're really going to have to let all of that go and employ the right brain, employ the more feminine flowing intuition to come through you. And so, but that's definitely one card deck that I would get if you are maybe a little bit more advanced, or you're really, really excited about learning about the tarot and you just have no clue what you're doing. Something like this. Again, you guys, please let me know what your favorite card decks are. If you have any that you would suggest, please let us know. And let's get into some more cards. Another really creepy, crazy thing, when I first got this deck, my second daughter's father bought this deck for me for Christmas, I think, last year, a year and a half ago. And he pulled a card out of the deck, out of the Oracle deck. And it happened to be this card, which is the Uranus card, passion, sexuality, and indulgence. But when each of these cards tells you the name of the artist, and the name of this artist is the exact, first and last name is the exact name of my first daughter's father, who committed suicide in 2010 and passed. And that was crazy. That was the first card that we ever pulled from this deck, was the card that had the artist's name on it. That was the exact first and last name. And he does not have a common name. Let's just put it that way. Not at all, which made it super creepy for everybody. All right, so another tarot deck. This is one that I just got myself. But if you do have some qualms about the tarot being sort of a darker energy and you really don't have an understanding of the tarot, I think that this deck, the Starchild tarot deck, I am waiting for her to create the Moonchild tarot deck, because that one is like my heart and soul. She isn't finished yet, but this is by a beautiful artist. What is her name? Danielle Noel or something? Let's see. I gotta give her a shout out. Just wouldn't be right otherwise. Yes, Danielle Noel. These cards are just beautiful. They're just stunning. And they are much more higher vibe. She doesn't have the death card in here. She doesn't have I don't think she has the tower card. Instead, she has cards like transformation and serenity. I think serenity might be like the hermit card. I'm not quite sure. But she's got a lot. She also has the Akashic records in here. These are Akashic tarot cards. That's just a higher realm. It's a higher vibration. So if you do have some fears or qualms about reading some of the darker, lower vibe type stuff, this has a great guidebook in it that will teach you, it will just tell you exactly what each of these cards mean. It gives some really awesome spreads, which is a tarot spread, to do some readings. So I think that if you love the higher vibe stuff and you're really wanting to learn about the tarot, this is a really good one. Like I said, I just got this, so I'm still getting to know it. I will say it's a little bit harder for me, at least right now, to read these intuitively because, I mean, the fact they do have like men and women on them, so if I'm reading something and I'm about, you know, a relationship or something like that, that might be easy, but it's not quite as easy to read these and just look at the picture and read them intuitively. For me, at least, I don't know, just my thing. But they're beautiful cards. They're absolutely stunning cards. And of course, that having really beautiful cards that you feel really drawn to, those are the ones that are going to be easier to start reading and start learning about and all of that stuff. So another deck, which is one of my favorite decks, this is for soulful entrepreneurs. If you're doing a reading for people that are in business, or if you are in business for yourself, this is like a must-have. It's like a must. This is the Sacred Creators Oracle deck. So Chris Ann, she's the creator of this deck. She's coached me. I interviewed her on my podcast with my exclusive for my members. Her cards are beautiful. They're just really beautiful. They're so simple, but she is very poetic. She writes poems as well. She's very poetic. And so reading something, even though there's not really much to the intuition as far as like looking at the card and understanding what it means, reading the words, you are living poetry. That's where her art lies, is in the words. The sacred flow of yes, right? Just the way she puts words together, raw intention, you know, there's an understanding there. There's an intuition. For me, I'm a writer myself, and so the intuition kind of kicks in for me. But she also, the gold in this deck is this book. I mean, you could read this book straight through and it's just awesome. She gives you like, it's a full book. She gives you like journal prompts, if you pull a certain card, exercises you can do to kind of help out your business. I mean, it's just awesome. And once you get to really know the book and you get to understand the vibe of Chris Ann and her intuition that came through to create this, then your intuition starts to kick in. Because it took me a while for my intuition to start to kick in. And I think that that's what it is. It's like when you first get a deck and you don't really understand it and you're still kind of learning, it's that energy of like, I don't understand this, that kind of blocks your intuition a little bit. And the more confident you become, the better you are at reading. So that's going to lead me back to the traditional tarot. What I love about this is that you can just look at these pictures. You can have a basic understanding of what the pentacles mean, of what the swords mean, of what the wands mean, and what the cups mean, which I don't have a cup in front of me. You get a basic understanding of what those mean, of what the major arcana means, about, you know, the basics. The basis of the major arcanas in this deck is the Fool's Journey. It really reminds me a lot of like the book The Alchemist. There's a Fool's Journey that it's about starting something fresh, new, and learning all sorts of different things about life, going through the contrast of life. That really is the basis of the tarot. And once you kind of have an understanding of that, you could really, I mean, if you pull a card like this and it's a dude laying on his face with a bunch of knives in his back, you could pretty much gather intuitively what that means. So what I love about this, and I don't think it dawned on me when I first got this deck, that you could really just intuitively take a guess as to what you think these cards mean. And, you know, understand that through the law of attraction, and this is sort of the question that I got a couple weeks back, or probably a couple months, but through the law of attraction, you're going to pull the card that is a match to your current vibration or to the person who you're reading. You're going to pull the card that's a match to the current vibration. That's why as a reader myself, I tend to pull the same cards over and over and over again. But when I read for other people, I pull different cards, which is cool because I get to learn the deck a little bit more. And look at that, I just shuffled it and I pulled the same exact one. Somebody's stabbing me in the back, or you. whoever's. And look, and it's time to walk away. Leave all them emotions behind because you have a beautiful life coming your way. And then there's some heartbreak. But the fight's over. Look at that, see? I could just keep reading and reading and reading. So that's the thing, it's like you really can develop your intuition when you're just intuitively reading the tarot deck. And that's what I love about the tarot deck myself. I only just recently started reading this deck again once I got really well versed in the other decks. You know, and it's really just like, it's kind of like matching up the left brain with the right brain, allowing the intuition to come through and also allowing the law of attraction to let the cards come through. Also, as I said, with the law of attraction and any bit of intuition that comes through, when you're reading intuition or when you're reading from your intuition or you're reading from the tarot cards, through the law of attraction, the tarot cards are going to come through for whatever is a match to your current vibration. You or the person you're reading for has the ability to change their vibration to the point where they build momentum in a new, but you could change the trajectory of your life with changing your vibrations, and then the cards would change. So you could get a card reading one day and a couple days later, change your vibrations, shift around and get a new reading. So just know that there's the Lover's card. Just know that through the law of attraction, you know, that's what's coming up. That's why the cards are going to come up. Sometimes the cards are flailing out of the deck because the law of attraction is so like, this card's for you. One thing I would say before I go, if you're ever going to start reading cards, I did mention setting your intention, maybe putting a big, beautiful bubble around you before you start doing any reading. Set the intention that whatever is coming through to you is going to be pure and loving and blissful. You can also ground yourself, but I would definitely always clean your cards before you do any kind of readings, especially if they're new cards. Now, you can, a way to clear your cards is something as simple as holding it in your non-dominant hand, imagining white light on it, and asking God to clear it with their divine white light. And then just, as soon as you feel like it's been cleared, and as soon as you feel like it's good to go, then it's good to go. Some people put clear quartz crystals on this, maybe a selenite crystal might work, you know, whatever feels good to you. Definitely look that stuff up. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that explanation. I really just scratched the surface when it comes to reading tarot, oracle, or angel cards. I would really love to know in the comments below what your favorite cards are, any questions you have, and maybe I can answer them in future videos. Also, I am still running my membership called Keys to the Empire. If you are interested in really developing a daily practice, being a part of community, going deeper than Freedom Friday, and truly investing in your well-being, make sure you click right here and check out all of the information on my monthly membership. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you next week.
Just believe in you.
Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you share this video on social media and go follow me at Darienne Empire all over social media. Also, I have an awesome Rockin' Empath Facebook group. It is a public group that is available for all empaths to be able to come, be supported, step out of a state of victimhood, and really find some awesome resources. And until next week, where our Following Intuition series continues, make sure you check out this video from the archive. It's a really good one. Click it before the video ends. Go, 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 go. All right, bye guys.